After a thrilling contest at Talladega Superspeedway last week, the 1UP Superstar Series is back in action as part of a Turbo Truck Series doubleheader weekend here in Colorado. And for the Superstar Series turn, it takes place at the beautiful Denver Motorsports Park just outside downtown Denver. It is a beautiful 2.28-mile high-speed oval where we had an interesting race in our inaugural trip here a year ago, and I'm sure it'll bring a lot of interesting racing moments here over the 50 laps that make up the Remax 400. Alongside me in the booth today is Turbo Truck Series regular Ryan Griffin, and for this race, well, it's all about keeping your car out in that clean air because, as we know, it handles best when it's out of all the traffic behind you. But we've got some big names starting out back in this race, so we got a lot of stories to keep our eye on as these 50 laps unfold.
And it's basically the one thing to watch today, and you mentioned it with the clean air. You also got to watch if somebody in the back can easily come through the field. It could mean there's a good car, and if he gets out, that person gets out front, it could be adios amigos. So yeah, clean air is going to be the name of the game, but you also want to watch the back of the pack, the people that are, moving through the pack, because then that means the disadvantage of not having the clean air is not really affecting them, which means could be ones to watch.
Absolutely. And now we can look at the starting grid for today's Remax 400. Nelson Reeves in the 17 Kings Motorsports Toyota gets his first career pole in this event at Denver. He's got Jeff Bolton alongside him, a few guys that really need to get their seasons kick-started here. They've yet to have the best of they haven't had the best of seasons so far. We're hoping they can turn it around here at Denver. Bobo Jones and Christian Vargas make up the second row, and behind them Sam Denotto, who missed 2 races earlier this season because of an injury in the Pensacola 500. He's looking to rebound, and then there's last week's winner, Jared Polansky. He starts all the way back in 33rd. So, if there's a driver, like you said, that can make their way through the field and pull off a come from behind, I believe your best bet's got to be that 18.
Like I said, it'll be interesting to see because if somebody can come through the field if they can make passes easy, that's the key. If you can make passes easy, not take a lot of time passing somebody, and the air not affect the car. In other words, if the aerodynamics don't hinder you and you're able to make passes clean and quick, it's obvious that car is going to be one to watch. And if they get out front, it's going to be even better because you don't have the aero disadvantage. So it makes your advantage probably even greater. So yeah, we're going to watch, as you said, Polanski starts 33rd, and we'll see. We'll see if he is that car today.
And with 50 laps ahead of us, it'll be anybody's guess to see how far up that 18 can climb. He's already won twice this season. We'll see if he can do it today. And the grid is all lined up for the Remax 400. We're ready to bring you 50 laps of action from the Denver Motorsports Park. This is the 1UP Superstar Series from Denver Motorsports Park. Like we just said, the green flag is moments away, so stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss a second of any of the racing action that's coming up very shortly. With Nelson Reeves on the inside lane, Jeff Bolton on the outside lane. The pace car is on pit road, heading into the restart zone. The green flag is out. The Remax 400 is underway at Denver Motorsports Park. We've already got a few guys standing after that high group. We're almost 4 wide already before they've even reached turn 1. Nelson Reeves powers out ahead of Jeff Bolton. He makes his way down into turn 1 with the race lead. But Bobo Jones sticking his 04 Dodge up the inside, trying to get that second position away from Jeff Bolton as they power off turn 2.
Yeah, it seems like this track, you want to try to get a jump as much as you can on the start. Yeah, they obviously fanned out right here at the green, and we're running everywhere. Apron, middle, and top, and looks like Bolton able to hang on to second as they come through 3 and 4, and it looks like Reeves will lead the first lap, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch this track because to see which line is actually a preferred line and which line carries the momentum. Obviously, most racetracks you're inside is going to be the line you want to take because it's the quickest, shortest way around. But at a track like this where you have multiple groove racing, it's going to be interesting. It looks like Jones is now waiting for second or trying to get back on Bolton for second.
And doesn't look like he'll be able to make it work. I saw a massive pack deep just outside the top 10 battling it out for the minor positions. But up at the front, Nelson Reeves continues to lead. These are, I believe, his first laps led of the season, at least the first that he's led at competitive pace. As right now, Nelson Reeves, he's still looking in search of that first career win, because we famously talked about him a lot in the closing stages of 2021, how he was fighting, trying to stay with that Kings Motorsports organization. Clearly it worked. He's got an extra year with these guys, and he's making them proud in a big way, leading the opening laps from pole. But Jeff Bolton, he's got an alliance with Finish Line Motorsports under the hood of that 38. He's been making huge gains lately. He's just had horrible luck to start this season. He's mired deep in the points, and I'm really hoping he can put a solid run together, because that team really needs one. He's running second right now as they complete lap number 3.
Yeah, and Bolton right now is just seems like he's always been on the 17. His first really was obviously from the drop of the balloon, but he's able to just maintain his pace. He's both 3 wide back, almost 3 wide back here. Now we are 3 wide in the 1 and 2, and that is the 83, the winner out at Vegas, right? You have to correct me on that one.
That is the Las Vegas winner. Duke Ansack in the 83, powering around J.Q. Halleck and Tristan Vargas, the 2 Revolution Racing teammates, right now battling for, it looks like, the 5th position with Duke Ansack, as well as Jeffrey Finguy and Justin Hutchinson. And don't count out Andres Molina either. He got his first career win last year on a high-speed over in Indianapolis. Hopefully he'll have a good run here. He's mired in the 20s, I believe, in the point standings. And he's due for a good run as well, but he's got pressure from Daniel Bouchard in the 73. We're focused on the 4 of J.Q. Halleck, who, last time you were with us at Las Vegas, everything was going right for that 4 team, but a flat tire 10 laps from the end, not even 10 laps from the end, put an end to their bid for victory. But running 6th right now, doing a pretty good job. They need a pretty good run to boost themselves up the points ladder a little more, as now we've got a battle for the lead on our hands between Reeves, Bolton, Jones, and Sam Donotto in the double zero.
We're going to go. The reason I kind of pointed out the 4 and the 83 was this track we talked about the last time I was in the booth. We were with Vegas, and this track's kind of a little bit like Vegas, so I think there's more boost to race here than at Vegas. But it's another track where you need to have good aero and good horsepower, and obviously those 2 drivers are currently 5th and 6th, as Bolton is underneath the 17, and I think he will get the lead here probably going down the back, as, yeah, I'm not surprised to see the 83 and the 4 up there right now too, and the guy you said won the last 2 races at Vegas is also up there too, so it will be interesting to watch to see if the teams that have more horsepower better guys to the top here, because this track seems to suit that.
And talking about the battle for the lead now, Nelson Reeves did hang on to lead that lap of the line. And now Bobo Jones surging ahead of Jeff Bolton to try and take over the 2nd position on the racetrack. It looks like Jones will be able to accomplish that around the outside of the racetrack. It looks like that outside line is going to be your best friend as far as making moves work, because it looks like this track, with its progressive banking, you're going to be able to go faster the higher up the track you are. They don't want to run up quite against the wall. However, running that middle groove looks like it'll be a better outcome for you than running the very bottom of the racetrack, as we just saw with Jeff Bolton falling from 2nd to 4th in 1 lap.
I tell you what played I think more of a factor in Jones's pass at Bolton, and that was it was 2 cars versus 1. The double zero is tucked up right behind that 4, and stay hooked together and go around the 38. So I think the draft, as I said with Arrow, I think the draft is also going to play a big role in deciding passes today too. As you can see, it looks like with double zero trying to get around Jones now on the inside. He doesn't have anybody behind him at the moment, so we'll see if he can actually make that pass stick or not.
We've got a pack of about 8 cars at the lead group. Yep, this train of 8 cars in the front, headed by Nelson Reeves, with Justin Hutchinson riding the caboose of this train for right now. They're spreading themselves out over about 1.1 seconds. closing in on lap 10 already, and Reeves has led them all so far from pole. If Reeves can hang on for his first career win, he will be, I believe, the third first-time winner we've had in the first 8 races. So that is a very impressive thing to note here, that we've got a plethora of new winners coming into this sport. It's very good to see it. But keep an eye out on these guys. Sam Denodo is another one in 3rd place in the 0-0. He's looking for his first career win as well. Jake Uhalek famously, third first career win. Jeff Bolton looking for his first in a really long time, as is Bobo Jones. So we've got a lot of big names that have yet to win races or haven't won in a while. And this is a great opportunity now that they're high up in the running order here.
I'll tell you what's something that's interesting to note in this lead group. Notice there's a Toyota leading, a Dodge second, and there's a couple of Fords here at the end of this pack. Where's the Chevrolets?
The highest one of those, I hate to break in, but the highest one of those, I believe, is Ben Mcdonald in the 12, and he's running just outside the top 10 in 11. The Chevrolets don't have a lot of teams under them. They only have a couple, but the ones they do have are running competently in the pack. There you see it. Ben Mcdonald in the 12 has just moved up into the top 10 in the 10th position. So McDonald in that dark red Chevrolet right in the back of your shot just took over 9th from Daniel Bouchard. McDonald, I believe, has a really fast car under him. He's got 3 seconds to make it. So that's going to be a very tough challenge.
And I think the reason I point that out, look how packed up these guys are. I'm telling you, I said it when I saw the 04 go around the 38, the 04 go around. I think having somebody behind you, tucked up behind you like you would see on a super speedway, see it at Daytona or Talladega, I think that's the key to making passes here. If you have somebody tucked up behind you, I think you can get around somebody no matter what line you're in. There goes the 4 now to the inside of the 83.
And the 92 big guy washed up in a big way. He might lose out in 7th position now to Jeff Bolton in the 38. But we do have 8 cars now of varying teams, manufacturers, and whatnot, all in this top 8. They're all separated by about a second. So they're all within striking distance of the lead. It's just a matter of making the right passes at the right time to get up into the lead. Because right now, no one else is led other than Nelson Reeves in the 17. But if I were to put some money on who would be a good challenger to that 17, I think it's this 4 car for Jake Uhalek. They started back in, I believe the 9th position in this race, and they're already making the move on 3rd, and it's only been 12 laps. I think this 4 is in a very good position to take the lead here if the runs fall just right. They just got to get around Bobo Jones in the 04, and then there's the big challenge of passing the 17 for the lead.
Honestly, not a bad pick, but I'm also going to watch the guy that actually beat him in that Vegas race, that actually took advantage of his issues in that Vegas race. I'm in for that 83 cars up there too. The 10 is up there. Obviously, he wasn't notable at Vegas, but the Finguy there too as well. But mainly I'm thinking of the 4 and the 83 because, again, they ran so well at Vegas. The 4, the 83, and the 10. They ran so well at Vegas, and this is a track, it seems to have some similar characteristics to Vegas. Is obviously the multi-groove difference is probably the biggest difference, but I really think these 3 are going to be players today, and obviously the 4 has got a hot rod today because he was trying to get the 04 right now from that 2nd position.
Yes, Jake Uhalek in this 4 has been looking for that first win for a very long time. Flash all the way back to 2020 at Pikes Peak, where the Turbo Truck Series just had their race. Jake Uhalek was running very well there, but got beat out in a late race duel with Henry Thomas for that win. And then you go all the way forward to Road America this year. Halleck finished 2nd again, to Jeffery Finguy. And now Halleck's running 3rd in a race that has been thoroughly dominated by Nelson Reeves so far. We're only on lap 15, but I believe it's going to come down to this 4 and the 17, because Nelson Reeves has had the clean air all day long. My question is, if someone does get by the 17 of Reeves, how will the Reddit Toyota react to that? How will it respond in dirty air? Because if it can't handle well in traffic, that might spell the end. As now, we can see at the back of the shot, Ben Mcdonald, I mentioned him earlier in the number 12, he has tracked down this lead group from 3 seconds back. He is now a part of this. It's a 9-car battle. So,
yeah, but hey, speaking as a competitor, there is nothing more frustrating than to have a race like the 4-team had, like the 4-team of Halleck had at Vegas, where you seem to do everything right, and right at the end, something goes wrong. And that motivates you. That motivates you. The constant people asking you, oh, well, what do you think of what are your thoughts about, you were that close, and you were that close, and you mentioned the other close calls he had. It builds on you. It motivates you when you have the car. After everything you've been through, you're like, okay. In some ways, I think it makes that driver a little more aggressive and a little more willing to put their nose in line, knowing that, hey, we've got the equipment to do this. Let's actually show them we can close it. We're not the Atlanta Falcons of 2016. We don't choke away wins.
No truer words spoken, as I'm sure when the day comes that JQ Halleck finally does win in this series, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because that car is too good not to win races. When that day comes, it'll be a very popular day in the 1UP Superstar Series garage and across the whole series as a whole. Now we're 3 wide for the 5th position between Hutchinson, Finguy, and Jeff Bolton. All of them battling it out for 5th, and Duke Antac's closing in, and Ben McDonald.
It's the battle for who wants to be the top running Ford driver right now. You got all 3 of them Fords there, and then there's obviously the Toyota of the 83 and then the 12 of McDonald. So yeah, it's like the Ford guys are battling amongst themselves. Okay, I want to be the lead Ford driver.
And Jeff Bolton has not been the lead Ford driver that often this season, so he wants to take advantage of the situation when it arises. Because remember, his alliance partner, Justin Hutchinson, is driving that blue and white 10 car. And you see JQ Halleck finally get around Bobo Jones for 2nd. So Bolton wants to put on a show and prove to Justin Hutchinson this was worth taking the small Jeff Bolton racing team on as an alliance partner, because it shows that the 38 is capable of running a matter of putting a race together. That's been their weakness throughout the season, putting a race together from start to finish, hanging on for that good finish. Bolton has not had that, nor has JQ Halleck for the most part outside of North America. So Halleck now is up into 2nd place and got about a 3/10 gap to try and chase down Nelson Reeves. It's going to be interesting because JQ Halleck, we know they can pass cars, and they can do it very efficiently. It's just a matter of chasing down that gap, which looks like it's starting to grow a little bit. Hopefully, this 4 can chase down as they almost make contact.
Yeah, there was actually a little bit of contact between the 2 of them, but what will be interesting to see here is whether or not that 4 car has the single pace to outpace the 17. Because we've seen already, it seems like if you get a little help from somebody, you can get around somebody. But we know this 4 car is strong. He made the pass for 2nd. Does he have the single car pace to outpace the 17? But again, we're about 10 laps from the window and from the pit stops. Could he have burned his stuff up now from... You said all the gains he's made. Could they have used their stuff up, and now he's just trying to conserve until the pit stop? There's still a lot that can happen between now and through the pit stop that could flip this race in Halleck's favor. So,
absolutely, it's a very good point to make. As we now look back at the battle for 3rd, which is now being faced between Bobo Jones in the 04, Sam Donato in the 00. And back here to the 3 Fords blending in tandem. And now look at this. We've got some more cars coming into play. Mark Davey in the 01, the Pensacola 500 winner, along with Stephen Hunter in the 51, Daniel Bouchard in the 73. They are battling it out. And now it's become a battle between 5th and 12th at the moment, because the top 4 have broken away from these guys. There's no question about it. As now Halleck is all over the back bumper of Nelson Reeves for the lead, and I think they might be able to make a move here. But Nelson Reeves just had such a good car today, and been able to defend. Remember, Reeves was able to defend from Bolton earlier in this race. I don't see why he couldn't do the same thing with JQ Halleck and make that 4 burn up more of their stuff, like you said, to try and get around.
But I think also a lot of it is draft too. I think once the filler just closed a little bit to the 17 to get the sniff of the draft off the 17, he was able to pull it basically like hooking a rope to the front valence of that 4-car, basically pulling the 4-car to him. Now the question is, can Halleck take advantage of the draft run he got and actually make the pass on Reeves? But I'm kind of struck by the humor of this, because the 2 races I've been in here in the booth, and now this is the 3rd one, you have the 4s here, which was from Vegas. The 83 was running in the top 10. He was at Vegas. The 10 was Vegas. Finguy was Bristol. The 51, which is up here now, was... Are all these guys just gathering because the guys that I was competitive without showing up?
It could be that way. They've just got the competitive spirit of a true racer. That's what's brought them here, and that's what's going to keep them here for many years to come. But right now, the battle is for 5th between Jeffery Finguy, who's gotten out ahead of this group of 4 that are literally glued nose to tail between 6th and 9th between Bolton, Hutchinson, Mcdonald, and Anzac. They were for a moment they were all glued together for the battle for 6th, as now we make our way back to the front of the field here. And now we go back to take you a little ways through the field here, back to Daniel Bouchard, and then this train with Cale Tescar Jr., the Monza winner, ahead of Nick Ortiz and Anderson Reed. They're running pretty much by themselves at the moment, running 13th through 15th at the moment. Reed in particular having a very good run in that number 15 car, and Tescar Jr. as well. He might lose the points lead when this is all said and done, because Finguy's ahead of him. As we look back now, J.D. Martin running all by himself in 16th at the moment. And then Christian Vargas is really falling off this race. Started 4th, and now battling Roberto Kern Jr., Jake McMillan, and Blair in this 19 car for 17th place. That is not where that 54 was hoping to run this race, but that's the hand he's been dealt. He's got to learn to play it now as he tries to hold off a very ferocious pack behind him for that 17th position. 21st position, I believe. William Brock, 22nd. Miles Mashburn, Devin Fair, Emma Carter. These cats are all battling for positions just inside or just outside of the top 20. And look at this, Devin Fair is all the way down on the apron of the racetrack, trying to make something happen. That'll cost him a position to Emma Carter in the 70th. Lane Sanders is back here, and there's Jared Polansky. We talked about him in the pre-race. I'm a bit surprised that Polansky has not made more gains through the field than he has. He started 33rd. He's only made it up to 29 so far, and this race is half over already. So if Polansky has anything for the guys up front, he sure isn't showing it at the very beginning. As right now, Henry Thomas is right behind him, Stephen Gale, Zachary Fitzwater in the 59 battling back there. Daniel Voiles is back here with Brandon Beal in the 37. Justin Henley, 34. Ryan Jackson making his series debut for a new Nova Sport team. They're running 35th right now. Pretty solid day. Just stay out of trouble and all that. Having a good run in 35th. Ahead of the 2 Motor Dash cars of Felix Anderson, who we're still focusing on Ryan Jackson. Here's Felix Anderson, along with Echo Ross, his teammate. Jesse Johns making his series debut in the 47 car, ahead of his teammate KJ Hayes, and then the 2 BTB cars of Beal and Parker. That is your run through the field, but right now, we've got a big battle at the front of the field between Nelson Reeves and JQ Halleck. Their battle has reignited, and now it's time to see what this 4-car has.
Yeah, I kind of almost wanted to correct you when you were talking about the 18. This race is past halfway now. You know, you said 50 laps for today. It may not seem like it may say 50 laps, but it's actually a relatively short race for this track that's almost 3 miles in length. it's a relatively short race. So at this point, especially when we've seen some characteristics, as I said, with the track looking like Daytona Talladega, we had that one group of four that was basically nose to tail drafting like you'd see in a pack at a super speedway. But track position's important right now, and I guess for somebody, obviously, for Reeves and Halleck, the track positions are they're in the best position you could be in, and track position out front. But yeah, I think track position is key today, and if you didn't have it in qualifying, I think it's going to be pretty hard to see somebody that's in the position like the 18 is to try to come back with now few laps left in the race. Now we're coming to 20 to go.
But this is the best position JQ Halleck has been in since the drop of the green flag. Remember, they started 9th in this race, and in just 30 laps, they're to P2 right now. And now gets underneath Nelson Reeves in the 17. This is going to be an interesting battle for the race lead. And I think Reeves is going to lead this lap at the line. However, I think it's time for one of those JQ Halleck dive bombs going into turn 1 to try and snatch the lead away. And there he goes. There they go. JQ Halleck to the race lead at long last, ending Nelson Reeves running front at 30 laps. And now Reeves is under fire from Bobo Jones, who's going to probably take over the second position. So Reeves, in the span of one set of corners, falling from the lead all the way back to P3.
Now you see, this was big for Halleck. I think that Halleck wanted to try to get the lead from Reeves before the pit stops, because he knew that if he had to rely on, obviously, you hope your pit crew is going to nail a great stop, but it makes it easier if you can beat your competition on the track to set yourself up better for the pit stop. I mean, yes, the pit crew can play their hand and gain the track time, or gain the time, but it's a lot easier if you can pass somebody before you.
Absolutely right. As now it's the 4 and the 04 leading this race. JQ Halleck ahead of Bobo Jones. Halleck, of course, has never won in the 1-Up Superstar Series. Bobo Jones' last win came at Bristol all the way back in 2020. So it's been a while for Jones. It's been infinitely longer for JQ Halleck. But I'm sure that, well, Halleck just needs to hold on here for about 18 more laps. And that, remember, that includes a pit cycle. So if the crew has to perform right, the driver has to perform right for the rest of this race, and the strategy has to be right too. Do you want to pit first to try and take advantage of fresh tires, or do you want to pit late and hope for a yellow flag to come out in the middle of the pit cycle? Because we've seen yellow flags in the middle of green flag pit stops shake up the running order of races before. It's not uncommon here. So there's benefits and disadvantages to either strategy.
I'll tell you this much too. Watch that 92. I've noticed him. He obviously got into that pack early on. He's been hanging around basically 5th, 6th, 7th for much of this run, and he's just kind of stealthily sitting there in 5th place. Remember Bristol? He wasn't exactly the fastest car. He wasn't the one up front leading laps. He kept himself close enough that when something happened, he benefits. And with this pit stop coming up, we've seen it already this year. One thing can go wrong that can change the entire outcome of the race. So all you can do is put yourself in a position, which Halleck, he's doing exactly what he has to do. Keep yourself in a position. The best position to be is out front. For Jones, he's doing the best he can. He's running second. Reeves, he has a little shook up because he lost the lead, but at least he's staying right there on Jones, and he's staying right in the mix of it. All you can do is put yourself there as circumstances dictate the outcome. I mean, I should know firsthand after what happened to me in the truck race at Vegas. So, all you can do is put yourself in a position.
And this is the greatest position these guys have been in all race long, as now we complete lap 35, coming to 15 laps to go here at Denver Motorsports Park. And this has been an enthralling race, even if we haven't had that much racing action. at the front of the field. The bits and pieces we have had been very riveting to keep our eye on, because the big question remains: can J.Q. Halleck hang on for these remaining 15 laps and score that all-important win? It's getting closer and closer, but there's, like we said, there's still a pit stop to make. There's still the strategy to decide on. And don't forget, now, and look at this, now we've got 6 cars under a blanket battling for second. So it's going to be very... there's a bit of a stack up there between Nelson.
And I mentioned Finguy, but I just had to point it out because actually right now the 12 car has gotten up in this mix now too. That's another one. Again, put yourself in a position as Jones and Mcdonald are leading pit road. It's the front runners to pit road.
And critically, J.Q. Halleck was not among them. They stayed out on the racetrack. And Bobo Jones and Mcdonald, they pitted early. They're on the undercut strategy and hoping that they don't go green, that they do go green the rest of the way, to take advantage of 4 fresh tires the longest. Halleck and these guys, I think they're hoping for a yellow here to try and keep them in the mix, unless they pit now, and it doesn't look like they are. I think they're hoping for a yellow flag, and it looks like we're going to get one.
Wow.
It looks like we're going to get one right here off of turn 4. The caution flag looks like it's going to be waving for the first time today, as yes, it is. The caution flag is waving. Pace car is out. We have had a big incident on the front straightaway to bring out caution for the first time today. We're looking to see who was involved in this. It looks like Jared Polansky in the 18, last week's winner, and Brandon Beal in the 37. Devin Fair with damage. J.D. Martin with a little bit as well. It looks like a 4-car incident that has brought out caution for the first time on lap 37. This is big.
I'm gonna assume it probably was somebody who's trying to get to pit road and they got run over. But what I was gonna say is, it kind of makes sense that the 4-car was going to try to stretch it, because we saw how he kind of wore his stuff out a little bit, even though he did make the pass of Reeves. I wonder if they were just trying to make sure they had the freshest stuff for that late run, and that's why they were going to kind of hold off on making the pit. And
well, this is an interesting decision J.Q. Halleck's making. They're going to stay out again under this yellow. What I think they're trying to do, and I think Sam Denotto is in the same boat as J.Q. Halleck, by staying out here, they have to be hoping that the yellow flag laps are going to continue to tick away here, and they have to be hoping that this yellow flag is going to carry them through the rest of the race, as we now look at. So this is where Jared Polansky was running. I think you might be right. Devin Fair is to his outside, and I believe Fair's going to maybe cut across and to try and make him... Oh, that was a late call by Devin Fair to pit. And oh my, that's a hard shot from Brandon Beal.
I'd like to see if we could rewind this one more time just to see, but I think what may have happened is, I wonder if the 08 had an issue, if it stuttered on him, or I wonder if it stuttered on him. If it stumbled the engine, and he's like, oh, they were going to go another lap, and it stuttered on him, and he's like, okay, now I'm running low, I got to come here, and then, as we saw,
Mayhem indeed, as Jared Polansky does dive down the inside of Devin Fair. I'm not sure if Fair expected that or not, but you might be right. There might have been an issue with the 08 car. But either way, if you're going to make a move that late, you need to make people aware of it sooner. Otherwise, things like this can happen, where Jared Polansky takes a wicked shot from Brandon Beal in the 37. Both their days done early.
I'm almost positive that it looks like that's what happens. The 08, I think they were planning to go another lap, and it must have stuttered. And when it stuttered, again, it probably scared them. It spooked them. And when it stuttered, like, oh, I got to come in. And they didn't realize the 18 was already alongside them at that point. But I was gonna make a point before we went to the replay to check the incident. Another reason maybe the 4 and the double zero could stay out here. We were in the middle of the green flag cycle. That's going to trap a lot more cars a lap down.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And
that could have been the play for staying out. That was going to trap some more guys a lap down, and that could give them even more of a buffer.
Some notables
Again,
that went a
they're
lap
trying to
down
do
here, I hate to break in, but some notables that went a lap down. Jeff Bolton, who is our outside pole sitter, he's now trapped a lap down, as is Christian Vargas, who started 4th. And you got guys like Anderson Reed, William Brock, Emma Carter. They're all trapped a lap down now, with no hope of capturing the win at this point. I think with Halleck and Denoto, and I think Justin Hutchinson's in this camp too, and Kason Cooper, what they're trying to accomplish here, maybe Bobo Jones is part of this group as well. No, Jones pitted, of course. So I'm just spewing here. But what these...
No, Jones was the first one to pit road. He was the...
he was the first one to pit, but Mcdonald jumped him in the pit lane. So
yeah,
McDonald was the first one on fresh tires.
I was just going to say, well, I mentioned the 12 car just before the pit stop. And could he be lying in the weeds here?
Because the top four stayed out. J.Q. Halleck, Sam Denoto, Justin Hutchinson, and Kason Cooper. They have to be hoping and praying that as the lights go out on the pace car, we will be going green next time by. That is not what Halleck, Denoto, Hutchinson, and Cooper, that's not what they wanted to see. They wanted this caution to drag on for much longer than it did, because the more laps they run on the caution, the more fuel you can save, and the better odds you can make it to the end of this race. Now, we're going to have a 9-lap sprint, and I don't know if they're going to make it or not.
The other thing that I need to point out, and I just noticed it because I'm looking at the ticker, look at the gap from Halleck to the 12 of McDonald.
It is
massive. He's got these lap cars, like I said, staying out. Those lap cars are between him and McDonald. And we see how difficult it's been to pass.
Yes,
that could be big.
I must also point out, all those lap cars, they're on fresher tires than these guys. These tires have been on the 4 to 00 in these guys. Those tires have been on since the start of the race. And the lap cars, as well as the cars from 5th on back, they put those tires on within the last few laps. So I think these guys are sitting ducks out in the leads. I'll happily be proven wrong. But.
I know Halleck doesn't want to hear this, but I just thought of something else interesting, and that is the only 2 times I've been in the booth, the dominant car has not gone on to win the race. Or the guy who looked like he was going to dominate the day didn't go on to win the race. So I hate to point that out. Halleck would want me to hear me say that, but I'm crossing my fingers for him up here. So
pace car makes its way on the pit road, leaves us in the hands of J.Q. Halleck. For better or for worse, stayed on the racetrack with Sam Denoto, Justin Hutchinson 3rd, Kason Cooper 4th, and Ben McDonald 5th on the fresh tires. Green flag is back at here at Denver Motorsport Park at Canada once again.
Like I said, both of those cars jumped high. So again, it's the interval we got to watch. It's not so much the position; it's the interval. And
yes. Some other
I don't know. Even on fresh tires, I don't know if you can make up that much time on a track like this when it's been so difficult to pass.
Some other things to note while we were under caution: Nick Ortiz retired from the race with an engine failure, and Ryan Jackson on his series debut fell 3 laps down, making some mechanical repairs to the 68 car. He's back in the race, but 3 laps down. But those are your notes to watch under caution. We're back under green now, and notably, William Brock has passed Sam Denoto for 2nd on the racetrack. It's not for position. Brock's a lap down, but critically, it goes to show you the fresh tires on these lap cars are paying dividends. And look at the pack, the swallowing up. They've already swallowed up Kason Cooper. He's swallowed back to 8th place. And I think Justin Hutchinson's going to follow him because
if I'm looking at the leaderboard, right, Jones got around McDonald too.
Absolutely. So now Bobo Jones is the lead car that has come to pit road in this race. Now William Brock is making the move to unlap himself from J.Q. Halleck. That's pretty notable for the 93 to accomplish that, because if he does, that's one less car between Halleck and the cars that they're racing for position.
That's where Halleck truly needs to be telling him, this is a lap car. Don't worry about him. Let him go so he doesn't hold you up. Evidently, that's what they did, but now he's got the 00 looking inside for the lead.
Sam Donotto, he's also looking for his first career win, but keep in mind, he's also on that same strategy J.Q. Halleck's on. They have got to be on fumes at this point, coming to 6 laps to go in this race. And look at that, he's holding up the 54 behind him, and this is just hardly going to watch, because I have a feeling these guys are not going to be able to make it to the end. They're just struggling out there. And look at this massive J.Q. Halleck is just backing up the pack in a big way. You see that dark red car of Ben Mcdonald. He's now under a second behind, despite the massive gap that was created beforehand. Look at this. McDonald is scything his way through traffic, and he's up to...
But he's also pinned. He's got the lap car which are on the same tires and pinned 3 wide. So, again, here's Halleck. Yes, he's on the tire strategy, but look at the gap. You know, McDonald and Jones are pinned behind those same fast lap cars. So what they basically hoping the lap cars have to get to Halleck at this point to even get Halleck.
And right now you have Emma Carter and Christian Vargas and J.D. Martin separating.
And I think I spoke too soon because I just saw McDonald did get through the lap cars, so now it looks like he's got a better chance now than Jones.
Yeah, he got around Donotto for second, and now there's only 3 cars in between McDonald and the lead. McDonald clawing and battling through the massive amounts of traffic, trying to get around J.Q. Halleck for this race win. We've got 5 laps to go, coming to 4 to go. Can J.Q. Halleck hold on? Because I think the goal now is not to win this race. It's just to make the finish on the lead lap, and it's just so close to these guys. They're continuing to stay out, but with Ben Mcdonald closing in on those fresh tires, it's... And keep in mind, that blue car, that blue and white car behind Ben McDonald, that's his teammate, Henry Thomas. He might be a lap down, but that is a huge confidence booster to have your teammate right there, and to see Devin Fair come out of the pits and make some repair work. But this is the battle for the lead. Christian Vargas alongside his teammate Halleck to unlap himself, and Devin Fair's coming out right in the middle of this. This could be big as we got a battle for the lead. We're coming to 3 laps to go.
I think Halleck needed that caution period 3 laps longer. Basically, was what he did. As McDonald goes around and feel for him because, it sound strategy. I can see why they did it, but I think there was just too many laps left for him to be able to hang on there. He tried, though. You got to give him credit. They tried, and for a second, they had
Yeah, but right now, Ben McDonald takes the lead of the race on lap 47, with J.Q. Halleck just fading further and further behind in second spot. McDonald, it's been 47 races since Ben McDonald's been to victory lane, since Phoenix in 2020. It's been ages since McDonald's won a race. He's been looking for one all this time, and now looking for, and finally, J.Q. Halleck's bid for victory is over. They make the hard left turn on the pit road, as does Justin Hutchinson and Sam Donotto. Their hopes of winning are done. They knew it. They knew the game was up. From the moment the race went back green, it was just a matter of when.
But it's interesting to note, and I kind of noticed it with the running line. Jones kind of faded back too, but there was still a good gap for Halleck to maybe get third or fourth out of it, but it wasn't a beat him. But man, you feel for him because, like I said, there was some soundness to the strategy. I like the idea of trying to go for it, but I guess in the end, tires is going to be the story today.
Coming to the white flag this time, it is Ben McDonald in the number 12 Chevrolet. Like I said, it has been a very long time since the driver of the 12 has been the victory lane. It's been a very long time, but Ben McDonald has been biding his time. He's been patient in this whole race. He didn't even take the lead until 5 laps to go. But
I was going to say, it's funny that I mentioned, early on, where's the Chevrolets at? On the final lap, they're answering me that question.
Coming through 3 and 4 for the final time. Kason Cooper gets out of the way as he gets lapped. Ben McDonald right on the back bumper to 70 of Emma Carter. Through 3 and 4 for the final time. It is going to be Ben McDonald breaking a 47 race winless streak here today at Denver Motorsports Park. Off of 4 for the final time. Ben McDonald wins the REMAX 400 in a dramatic late race late race run to the checkers saw J.Q. Halleck fall to the wayside. Mark Davey comes home second. We didn't mention him all day long. Duke Ansack comes home third. How about Lane Sanders from 23rd on the grid to finish fourth? All this race. Bobo Jones runs out the top 5 ahead of Cale Tescar Jr., who will retake the points lead with a 6th place finish. Daniel Bouchard 7th. Zachary Fitzwater, I believe his first top 10 of the season, in 8th. And Diego Yepes in 9th. And rounding out the top 10, Nelson Reeves, the pole sitter, just ahead of Jake McMillan. And on his debut race, Jesse Johns in this 47 car manages to finish 12th in his first series start. That is mighty impressive. But the driver today had to go to Ben Mcdonald. He bided his time, did everything right, was on the right strategy, and it pays off with a big win here at Denver Motorsports Park.
See, and it does take an element of call for the driver, but the call by that 12 team, even when you had the force, you had a couple stay out to come in, change tires, his pit crew to get him out ahead of Jones. I think that definitely is, if I'm going to award a move of the race, it goes to that 12 pit crew to get him out first of those guys that stopped in the caution. Because that ultimately was the difference.
Absolutely right. And on that note, what a race we had at Denver. I'll say it was that late race caution changed it in a big way, and I'm sure J.Q. Halleck will be lamenting this one, but their day will come, I'm sure, to get that first career win. It'll happen by the end of this year, I'm sure. So
I'm really hoping that when Halleck does get it, that I'm standing here in the booth when he does, because it seems like the last 2 races now, it seems like I've cursed him, and now I hope I could be in the booth when he actually does win, because it'll be a pleasant thing to see for sure.
100% right. So, from Ryan Griffin and from myself as well, we say goodbye from Denver Motorsports Park. We'll see you again soon at Phoenix Raceway for round number 9 of the 1UP Superstar Series season. Congratulations to Ben Mcdonald for winning for the first time in a really long time. And don't worry, J.Q. Halleck, you'll get your first one real soon. I'm pretty much going to guarantee it at this point. That car and that team, too good not to win at least one.